Okay. So, morning, everyone, and welcome to the side event, Energizing Ukraine's Future, Security and Green Recovery. My name is Luca Lore. I'm the head of the Climate Change Expert Group in the World Energy Outlook team at the International Energy Agency, and I have the pleasure to be the moderator of the session today. We are privileged to have opening remarks by the European Commissioner for Energy, His Excellency Dan Yörgensen, which I would like to invite to the stage now, please.
Yes, and even coffee and water, everything is perfect. Somebody told me yesterday that I was giving an interview and the sound technician said that he had measured the noise, the background noise here in this place. And he said it's louder than it usually is at a heavy metal concert. So, okay. But Your Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, dear friends, I will give a more formal speech, but I just want to start by saying that we in Brussels, in the European Union and in the member states, we follow what is going on in Ukraine every day. We know what a terrible, terrible situation you're in. The fact that Russia is not only continuing, but actually stepping up their attacks, ruining energy infrastructure, killing the people who are trying to fix it. It's terrible. And my main message is that we will never leave you. We will stand by you. And we are committed to making sure that Putin will not win this war and he will not manage to break Ukraine. So we will help as much as we can in every way that we can. So let me first of all thank the organizers for organizing the events. As we meet here today at COP30, Ukraine is facing its fourth winter of full-scale war. At COP30, energy transition is a core part of the discussion, and the scaling up of renewables and transitioning away from fossil fuels are a core part of the solution. That is also the case in Ukraine. Lives have been lost, communities have been destroyed, yet what endures is the extraordinary resilience of the Ukraine people. The courage of engineers who restores power lines every night, the spirit of ordinary citizens who face cold and darkness with dignity, and the resolve of the government to keep the light of democracy burning. The European Union stands firmly by Ukraine, today, tomorrow, and as long as it takes. Our support is unwavering because Ukraine's fight is also ours. The fight for freedom, stability, and for a secure and sustainable future. Energy security is at the heart of this fight and this future. It is about keeping homes warm and hospitals running, but also about securing independence from fossil imports and hostile suppliers. For this reason, the European Union has mobilized unprecedented assistance. We have delivered emergency energy equipment, including over 9,000 generators and almost 7,000 transformers. We have increased EU electricity exports by the capacity of 2.1 gigawatts to support Ukraine's electricity sector and to ensure power for Ukrainian homes. We continue to integrate Ukraine ever more deeply into the EU energy market, from synchronization with our electricity grid to closer alignment with the EU energy rules. But energy security today is not only about protection, it's also about transformation. Ukraine's reconstruction is not about rebuilding the past, it is about building the future. Renewables, energy efficiency, and decentralized power systems can make Ukraine's energy network not only cleaner, but actually also stronger. Solar roofs, wind farms, smart grids, and local storage are also instruments of energy sovereignty. This vision is firmly anchored in Ukraine's National Energy and Climate Plan. This plan sets ambitious targets to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, expand renewables, and increase energy efficiency, all while strengthening the resilience and security of critical infrastructure. But to make this vision real, we need the mobilization of all partners. The European Union has committed 50 billion euros to the Ukraine facility, out of which 22 billion have already been disbursed. A considerable portion of this facility is dedicated to recovery, reconstruction, and modernization, and also, to the extent possible, in a war-torn country, to climate change mitigation and adaptation. The EU also supports Ukraine's energy sector, providing over 2 billion euros since 2022. Public funding can open the path, but private investment must drive progress. From businesses investing in renewable energy projects to financial institutions, development banks, and climate funds joining forces to unlock green finance at scale. Being a country at war, your efforts in transitioning away from fossil fuels is a role model and an inspiration for all of us. They're showing that energy security and affordability go hand in hand with decarbonization and scaling up renewables. That security and climate action are two sides of the same coin. Friends, this fourth winter calls for solidarity, not just in words, but in action. Ukraine's recovery will test our resources and our resolve. But passing this test is both a moral duty and a strategic opportunity. Because Ukraine's fight is our fight. Their freedom is our freedom. The darkness of winter approaches. The shadow of Russia continues to loom over Ukraine, but together we shall keep the lights on. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Commissioner, for these opening remarks. This is very much appreciated, and thanks for the kind words and for your time to this session today. I would like to invite now online, 1 minute. Okay, we just wait 1 minute. Thank you.
Luca, no worries. 1 minute. They will make a picture. They would
Absolutely.
like ministers, vice ministers, commissioner, and they will sit here.
Absolutely.
Okay? The was their will.
That's completely fine. Can I then call online?
Yes. Yes.
Olha
Olha Yuhemchuk.
Olha
Olha, like me.
Yuhemchuk.
Olha.
Okay.
Oh, Miss Olha. you can tell to the microphone to Olha that Olha, we have a 1 minute break.
Sure.
Because there are a lot
I'll
of
do
big
it.
bosses.
Okay.
1 minute.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
No. You're in the hot seat.
Literally. Dear Deputy Minister Olha Yuhemchuk, we are waiting for just 1 minute for a technical break for taking photos with high level speakers and Minister and Commissioner Jorgensen. So please stay with us on the line. Thank you.
Теж 2.
I think we can continue then. Thank you for your wait. I would like now to invite the Ukraine's Deputy Minister for Energy for European Integration, Ms. Olha Yochinchuk, to provide her opening remarks online. Please, the floor is yours.
Dear colleagues, I hope you can hear me well.
We can.
Perfect. Distinguished colleagues, partners, friends, big honor for me to be a part of this discussion here today, and pleasure to welcome everyone at the Ukraine's COP Pavilion, and in this particular very important discussion on energizing Ukraine's future, our security and green recovery. As was already said by Commissioner, and just to stress on my side as well, we all clearly know that for more than 3 years already, Ukraine has been facing continuous targeted attacks on our energy infrastructure. It is about thousands of strikes on our power generations, on our CHPs, on our hydropower plants, on gas production, transport facilities, and underground storages. These all are deliberate actions to leave millions of Ukrainian people without power, heat, and water supply. And it is also to undermine our municipal services infrastructure. Currently, we know that nearly half of Ukrainians experience emergency power outages. And yet, Ukraine remains resilient and committed to restore, recover, and rebuild our energy infrastructure. We are restoring all the critical infrastructure. We are deploying large-scale wind and solar projects, and we're investing in battery storages. And this is not only keeping Ukrainians' lights on, but it is also about establishing long-term transitional pathways to a cleaner, more resilient, and secure energy future. And we clearly understand that our future is for decentralization, decentralized generation, from rooftop solar to community wind and flexible storage. This has become one of the key elements of our national security. It strengthens resilience, it reduces GHG emissions, while it also attracts green climate investment in Ukraine. And it helps communities to take ownership of their energy future. The scale of the rebuilding is really significant, and there are huge opportunities. And I want to stress that our international partnerships, they have been essential and vital for Ukrainian energy infrastructure. The support from many of our global partners, they enable Ukraine to develop tools that de-risk and that accelerate investment in renewables, storages, flexible generation, and critical infrastructure protection. Ukraine is fully committed to restoring damaged and ruined infrastructure and production facilities. And at the same time, we are building new, more resilient, sustainable, decentralized energy system. Our priorities are clear: the decentralization of renewables and sustainable energy integration on grid modernization. We have our strategic pathway towards the EU and joining the EU in the nearest future. And it is our utmost to follow all the EU rules and procedures and practices that are the part of Ukrainian future. And the Ministry of Energy remains fully committed to the green transition and sustainable recovery and resilience. We are looking ahead. We invite our partners to join us in scaling up the investment in finance, sharing expertise, and accelerating projects that advance both the energy security and our shared climate neutrality goal till 2050. I do believe that very close cooperation and unwavering support from our partners, their continuous solidarity over these years have helped us to survive this hard 3 winters and another one to come. We are very much thankful to all the partners that keep trusting and believing in Ukraine and helping us to survive and building a more resilient energy security in the world. So I wish everyone today a very fruitful and engaging discussion. Together, let's turn all our shared commitment into a secure, sustainable, and interconnected energy future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister Joachimczuk. And before turning to the panel discussion, the IEA was asked to deliver a brief presentation, which I would like now to turn to, please, if we can get the slides up. And while we get the slides up, in the presentation that I'm going to deliver now, I would like to highlight a few key takeaways from our latest report on Ukraine, which focuses on a pre-winter assessment of Ukraine's energy security. Also, I will touch on how the IEA works with Ukraine to help them strengthen energy security and achieve their long-term vision for energy sector recovery. If we can go to the next slide, please. So as you can see from this chart, before 2022, Ukraine's available dispatchable power generation capacity was around 38 gigawatts. And losses in the first years due to the war amounted to 19 gigawatts. And after an additional concentrated attack in spring 2024, capacity declined to just 12 gigawatts. And ahead of last winter, Ukraine was able to restore 3 gigawatts, and it has continued to repair an additional capacity throughout the year. And since the end of the last heating season, Ukraine has extensively worked to restore damaged power system infrastructure, while also adding further distributed generation and battery storage capacity, as we just heard from the Deputy Minister. If we can go to the next slide, please. And so we've seen a strong escalation in attacks ahead of each of the last heating seasons. And this is becoming a pattern in the past few years. But as we heard before from Commissioner Jorgensen, it's really now the scale and the intensity of the attacks that has increased recently, particularly when you look at the number of drones that have been deployed in each attack. In August this year, we saw almost 3,500 drones against energy infrastructure. And in September, about 4,850. And October also saw a very significant number of massive attacks. To give you just a sense of the scale of what Ukraine deals with on a constant basis, in an attack on October 22nd, in just one day, Ukraine lost 1.2 gigawatts of generation capacity, and this is around 7% of available generation capacity in just one day. And during the last, the second week of November, so just a few days ago, the attacks were so widespread that almost every single region across Ukraine saw blackouts rolling from 8 to 16 hours. If we can go to the next slide, please. And so the reports that we published lays out 6 key actions for Ukraine and its partners to strengthen energy security this winter, but it also laid the groundwork for these actions towards a longer term recovery and reconstruction. Of course, we're not going to have the time to go through the details of each of them. I just am going to give you a few examples that were already mentioned by the distinguished speaker before. So decentralization of both power supply and heating through batteries, solar PVs, wind, but also mobile gas generation is key. The protection of critical energy infrastructure will also provide significant lesson for future investment. And finally, also coordination efforts between Ukraine and its partners will not only help addressing the pressing needs of Ukraine, but also further cross-border energy integration with a view for EU market integration and eventually EU accession for Ukraine. If we can go to the next slide, please. So in 2022, the IEA welcomed Ukraine as an association country. And since then, we have worked closely with Ukraine to offer support across a number of different work streams. And earlier this year, the IEA launched the IEA Ukraine Collaboration Program that has 2 pillars, one on energy security and resilience, and the other one on long-term decarbonization. Next slide, please. And our work encompasses analysis on modeling, capacity building and also advocacy. And it has really helped call attention to Ukraine's short-term needs on the international stage, while also giving Ukraine the tools to refine its strategic vision and adjust to a fast-evolving energy sector concept. Let me conclude by saying that the IEA is an organization of the OECD, and we emphasize the need also for strong corporate governance in accordance with the OECD and the EU standards. And this, we think, is essential to maintain energy sector stability as well as investor confidence that is necessary to help Ukraine transform its energy sector to meet its strategic needs. With that, I would like to thank you all for your attention. And now we would like to open the panel. I will call each of the panelists, the distinguished panelists, one by one. First of all, Minister Lars Aaagaard, Minister of Climate, Energy and Utilities of Denmark. Welcome, Minister. Then I would like to call Minister Pavlo Kарташов, Deputy Minister of Economy, Environment and Agriculture of Ukraine. Welcome, Deputy Minister. Then the Director General of IRENA, Frančesco La Camera. Benvenuto. And last but not least, Felісіті Spors, Director of Sustainable Business and Infrastructure at EBRD. Welcome, Felісіті. I would like to start with a question to Minister Aaagaard, if I may. What role should the EU member states play in accelerating Ukraine's transition to a green integrated energy system and helping withstand corresponding climate risks amid the ongoing war?
Now it's on, I think. Thank you for that question. I will just take this off while I speak. First, I think for me it's very important to stress the total solidarity that Denmark had with Ukraine. Coming here to the COP, where the world meets to discuss, to decide, where we have respect that every voice, every country in this world matters. And at the same time, we have a full-scale war in Ukraine, Russia's aggression. It is so devastating for all of us. And I can promise you, my Ukrainian friend, that Denmark will stay firm with Ukraine. I visited your beautiful country 2 years ago. And I will tell a little story about that because I think it tells something about the bravery of the Ukrainian people. We were inside one of your power plants. The alarm came. Of course, the group that I was part of was asked to get out of there as fast as we could. But 2 people had to stay there in the control room. 2 brave Ukrainians had to be there to make sure that the power plant still worked. They had a little metal shelter. Inside that, there were 2 helmets. They looked like something from World War I. And these 2 men, they stayed when the rest of us, we left. When I came out, of course, as a minister, you get into a car. It's a secured car and you drive away. And I must admit, I felt relief there. But shortly after, I also felt ashamed. Ashamed because I allowed myself to feel relieved. I think that a lot of you can understand why you feel that. But there were 2 Ukrainian men that stayed inside that power plant. That bravery, that commitment from the Ukrainian people to keep power on, people who understand the necessity of any society to have access to energy, how fundamental it is to live in freedom, in security, how important it is to keep the Ukrainian economy running, to help your factories produce what you need. You cannot underestimate the importance of energy. And I salute the bravery of all men and women fighting in Ukraine. I salute the men and women fighting to keep power on, heat on. I have the deepest respect for your effort. So what's the role then of us in the EU? Well, right now Denmark has the presidency. And together with the Polish colleague, we decided that we wanted to make sure that the EU keeps a focus on helping Ukraine becoming a member of the Union. You are in our hearts. You are part of Europe, and we want you to be part of the most beautiful union in the world, the European Union. So one thing is that we will help you all what we can in the energy domain to make sure that you're ready to join the union. But that's one part. The other part, of course, is the long term, as the IAA presented here. One day we hope, if not victory, then peace comes to Ukraine, and we can start helping you rebuild your energy system. And of course, it has to be decentralized. It has to be decarbonized. And here we have experiences in Europe on how to regulate that, how to finance that. And I would also say from the Danish side, we are in a very close collaboration with your authorities, sharing our insights, our knowledge on how to help you rebuild a green and decentralized and thereby more resilient energy system. And we will continue supporting you in that. It's good to think long term, but we have to get through the next winter. So therefore, I'm very pleased today to announce that the Danish government, of which I think we were the first to give donation to the Energy Fund, that we will look into our budget for the rest of this year. And we will very shortly, I cannot say the number today, but we will, within a short time frame, announce a donation to Ukraine, giving you not what you need because our country is too small for that, but giving you what we can, or which I think is above the top what any country in the world has given to you per capita to support you getting through the winter. And I'm looking very much forward to that we can announce the exact figure. I would have hoped that I had it with me today, but we asked the people that are working on our budget to check one more time to see if they could not find just a little bit more for Ukraine. So I hope you excuse me for that. So we will continue be with you. We will continue push for your full integration into the European family. So it's not just in our hearts, but it's legally. We will support you on the short term. We know that your needs are desperate, and we will do our most to support you how we can. And then, of course, we will be with you when we will fully integrate you into the European energy market, and we will help you by rebuilding a new decarbonized, decentralized, more resilient energy system. Slava Ukraine.
Thank you so very much, Minister Aaagaard. And it's really great to hear the continuous commitment of Denmark and also of the EU to Ukraine. With that, let me turn to Deputy Minister Kарташов. I would like to know, if possible, as Ukraine advances with both urgent energy security actions and its long-term commitments, how is the ministry balancing these imperatives in practice? And also, what lessons have emerged from recent achievements, and how can international partners best support Ukraine's vision and priority actions going forward?
Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank to all today's participants, today's events, and for especially to European Union for continuous support, and Denmark, all the EU countries, and all the world actually for continuous support for any effort which is aimed at energy security in Ukraine, because energy security nowadays is a matter of life and death. And when we are talking about power generation, in my understanding, this is not only about electricity grid, but it's also about power of each Ukrainian, which is staying alive and fighting for our victory. So basically, we're talking about all the people, hospitals, universities, critical infrastructure, and everything, all the elements which are now in Ukraine. And obviously, with this lavish support, we still keep it operational. We are saving lives, and we obviously doing everything to reach the victory. And another thing, Commissioner mentioned how many supportive actions they are doing right now, and this is urgent support, so providing mobile energy generators and other equipment. But in addition, I would like to mention that we have a Ukraine facility mentioned, and within Ukraine facility, we have a Ukrainian investment framework. And obviously, within investment framework, there is a modality which providing that 20% of all the financing, and this counts more than 9 billion euros, 20% should go to green projects, green energy, green transition projects, sorry. So making sure we do good transformation from our current infrastructure, making sure we go into more green and more low carbon emission economy. And basically today we have a super ministry, we call it, because obviously nowadays our ministry unites three ministries. Before, this is Ministry of Economy, Ministry of Environment, and Ministry of Agriculture. And basically our approach now is very clear. We are building eco-friendly economy, so making sure all our efforts and all our actions are aimed at energy efficiency and at lowering of carbon emissions. And as I mentioned, energy security is one of the it's key priorities for us, but at the same time we have our climate obligations, our international climate obligations, and obviously we are stick to it. Recently we approved a lot of different program documents. For example, we approved NDC, and there was a very huge discussion among government, business, and NGO sector, basically what is our ambitious and what is current situation. So what we can accept or what we cannot accept, and in addition to our projections and our modeling, we also took into consideration RDNA 4 report by the World Bank and other stakeholders, which obviously outlines the damage caused by Russia, especially damage in the energy sector. And as it was shown at the presentation, you see how many launches nowadays we have from Russia. It's missiles, it's drones, which are mainly focused on our energy infrastructure. And as for today, I just came yesterday from Kiev. So we have almost half a day of blackout, so no electricity, no water supplies somewhere, because obviously it's connected. But still people stay resilient, they are happy because they're still alive, and obviously they're doing everything to make our victory happen. So once again, I would like to thank to our European partners. I would like to thank to IFIs, because they're doing a lot of different things right now, especially with regard to midterm and long-term projects. And we have a lot of different projects within UIF. They are doing a lot of projects separately, and obviously all the world community is helping us to build our build back better approach. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Deputy Minister Kарташов. I would like now to turn to Director General La Camera, if possible. How can Ukraine leverage international collaboration for renewable energy in particular to drive post-conflict recovery while ensuring they meet both climate target, but at the same time, energy sovereignty requirements?
You know, first of all, thanks for having me in this discussion. You know, when I started my tenure at Arena, one of the first visits that I paid was in Ukraine. And Ukraine already at the time, talk about a few years ago, they were already moving to renewables. At the time, the problem they had is how to move from feed-on tariff system to a more action-oriented approach. And I've been impressed by the beauty of the city. That may look like some way Rome, no? What's going up and down. And also by the skill, the professionality of the people I have the chance to speak with. So I think a lot has been said here that I completely agree, no? So how the international cooperation should link the short-term approach, and we have heard by Commissioner Dan Yörgensen how many transformer, how many generator they've been able to provide for a response in the very short term to the dramatic situation of Ukraine and its energy system. In the meantime, it's important to work for the future and try to provide for a system that could be more, show more reliance and be affordable. And what as Arena we are doing? First of all, we have assessed the potential of generation capacity of renewables. And the numbers that came to us is an impressive 0.7 terawatts. This means simply that it's not what Ukraine needs. It's also potential that you can export. So there is a tremendous potential for the country. And we have listened from Dan, from the minister, how the energy system is now to be synchronized now with the EU system, because this will give the possibility in the future to move electrons from Ukraine to Europe in an efficient way. We are, during the analysis, we always know that the difference should be made on the ground. So what we are trying to do, and also this thanks to some funding received by the Italian government, we are trying to assess for 5 Ukraine countries, including Odessa, together with UNEP, to assess the business case for solar generation in these cities. This will be the possibility not only for enhance and move into rooftop solar for families and houses, but also see how this energy could be served for industrial purposes, so for production and generation. With UNEP, we are also working on integration of the policies into the system. So we are working more on level of municipality and local government, because I think that there we can make the difference. In the meantime, we have tried to work with our colleague on enhancing the capacity to access funds. So how to prepare projects, how to bring projects to bankability. And there's some that technical support we provide, but more than that, we also try to bring to bankability and funding a couple of projects that can provide significant megawatts into the grids. Naturally, it's very difficult in time of war to see the private capital maybe go there if there are the risking capability that makes possible. So I think we have been working also with the European Reconstruction Development Bank on this aspect, and I think we are very close to go to financial close for a couple of projects for something more than 30 megawatts in the next future. So absolutely work on the short term, but the country has a huge potential. The country one that this war will finish, has all the possibility to build an energy system that is more secure, is more resilient, it's more affordable for the people, and also provide for revenue from exporting electrons around the world.
Thank you so very much, Director La Camera. It's really great to hear about the renewable energy potential of Ukraine, and you also mentioned funds and bankability and accessing funding. So with that, I think it's a natural move towards EBRD. So I would like to turn to Felicie now, if possible. EBRD has mobilized significant financial support to Ukraine to repair energy infrastructure and invest in renewable energy ventures. Considering this success, how should relevant stakeholders coordinate further to deliver effective energy recovery?
Very much for the question, and thank you very much for the invitation to be here. Couldn't be a better segue from Irina. Yes, for the EBRD, the Ukraine is a priority, which means that we continue to stand by you and will continue to funnel not only our own money, but to invest where we're best in the private sector. To date, we've invested 2.5 billion with other donors into the Ukraine since the war started to support businesses continue in agriculture and energy infrastructure. But as already indicated, we need to move beyond the initial survival development of keeping the lights on to align with your strategy, the 2050 roadmap, to align for the sustainable, built better, eco-friendly future for the Ukraine. Because I don't know who it was who said it, but as people, we live in hope, but that hope means that we believe we will have victory. And we will, like the European Union, stand by you until we have that victory. But in order to have a resilient future, we need to use money really well. So we need to make sure that we coordinate the financial investments in a way where you get the most for those investments within the Ukraine. So what does that mean? It means that with our partners, we need to look to do three things. We need to accelerate, we need to unlock private capital, so we accelerate the investments, unlock private capital, and ensure sustainability. So one example to illustrate how we do that at the EBRD is I have to read it because we changed the name. The Renewable Acceleration and Market Development Program, previously the Risk Mitigation Mechanism with the World Bank, is an approach where we're ramping up our delivery of financial flows within the Ukraine. And we do this for the energy infrastructure by ensuring price stability through renewable energy auctions. And that stability ensures that the investors and the renewable energy companies can actually deliver renewable energy. Simultaneously, we have another program working closely with our partners in the Ukrainian government, the technical teams, to ensure that we can deliver capacity, targeted capacity to unlock and accelerate those investments where they're most needed, even when sometimes that means readdressing reconstruction. So we're always doing these two things. We're reconstructing after attacks and we're building future. And that is an unusual dual challenge. And that is what we are confronted with in the Ukraine. But I do believe that this approach means that we can accelerate. We're targeting 1 new gigawatt, and we're hoping that we can drive up to 10 billion in mobilized investment. This is an ambitious goal, and we are working hard with you to deliver that. So really, to your question, let's align with our partners to accelerate, unlock private investment, and drive that sustainable, eco-friendly future. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Felicity. I think we are getting towards the end of the panel. So I would like, first of all, to thank very much all our speakers for sharing these really excellent insights. I'll try to summarize in a few points, if I may, what we heard. We heard from all speakers how to shape strategies for increasing both climate and energy resilience against this ongoing threat on energy security posed by Russia's war of aggression. And I think there are 4 points that I heard on the panel today's discussion. First, the ongoing importance of international cooperation. I think everyone mentioned that international cooperation is very, very important. And the second one, it would be the different actors, as we've seen today on the panel, would have different roles to play here. From the EU as a whole to also individual countries like the example of Denmark, but also international financial institutions and also international organizations like IRENA and the IEA. International collaboration is also key when it comes to financing Ukraine recoveries, both in the short term, as Russia continues the attack on energy infrastructure, but also in the longer term, as we heard from Deputy Minister, to bring more distributed resources online. And this can help increase the resilience as well as make faster the transition. And of course, maybe the fourth point is very important to remember that we need to continue make climate resilience also a priority for Ukraine, alongside, of course, energy resilience. The two are somehow connected and linked, as well as we know this world has exacerbated already the country's climate challenges. So making sure that Ukraine has the tools and support to tackle these challenges will help strengthen recovery and ensure that it can achieve longer-term sustainability recovery goals. And Ukraine is already thinking ambitiously about its future while fighting already bravely for its presence. It's in its very terrible position of having to constantly repair and rebuild but also think creatively of how to integrate its transition for the longer term goals while maintaining energy security that Ukraine finds itself in this moment. So this balancing act can only happen while everyone supports. So this importance again of international collaboration. And this event today, and I would like again to thank the European Commission and then Ukraine Pavilion also for organizing this event, has really brought together different stakeholders to really show how Ukraine with this partner can continue targeted support where it's really needed the most. With that, I would like really to thank everyone. It's been really a great event. We learned a lot from the different stakeholders, and we look forward to continuing the collaboration to make Ukraine's a success. Thank you very much, everyone.